Will Archer Aviation announce a transition flight for N704AX at this week's earnings call? That's the question that's on everybody's mind. It's on my mind. It's on everybody I've talked to's mind. Guys, the answer may not be exactly what you're looking for, but it may be everything you're looking for. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Go Gang!
Before we get anywhere, I want to know, what do you think? Is Archer going to announce a transition flight for N704AX this week? Let me know in the comments. Here's my opinion. Well, we'll get to that. I gotta make you wait for the good stuff. First, I want to talk about some previous aircraft that Archer Aviation's flown in the past. So you've got the Maker aircraft, which was essentially Midnight B1, if you want to call it that. This is the plane that proved the technology of Archer Aviation. Yes, there's been a few modifications since then. There's been a minor or major upgrade on every iteration of the Midnight aircraft. But as far as Maker goes, it was proven that Archer's technology works. So we know that Archer Aviation did a transition flight with the Maker aircraft. It was not piloted though. Archer Aviation has not done a piloted transition. They have done multiple transition flights. The technology is there, guys. So I don't know why everybody's so worried about Archer Aviation, because they can do it. They have done it. So at the end of the day, who really cares? Maker did the transition flight in 11 months. From the first test flight, which would have been a hover test, to the actual transition flight, it was 11 months. So I just want to let you know it's not going to take 11 months for N704AX. It will not take 11 months for N704AX to do a transition flight. Okay? Calm down. We're okay. So, next, we've got N302AX, which was the remote tested version of the Midnight aircraft, which had VTOL capabilities, and mostly flew VTOL. This aircraft is currently in the Middle East. I think it's in Abu Dhabi somewhere. We haven't seen it or heard from it in a while. Basically, it was just a remote piloted version of the Midnight aircraft. I personally call it Midnight V2. Like I said, it just remote piloted VTOL. Did a great job, proved the technology again. Had a few minor additions than Maker, which was Midnight version 1. Then you've got N704AX, which is where the controversy starts to come in. And I don't really know why, because it's simple. But anyways, N704AX was the aircraft to prove the CTOL capabilities, because Archer wants to be the man that can do both. They want to be able to do CTOL and VTOL takeoff and landing. The CTOL would be for leaving airports, like Hawthorne, which Archer owns the master lease on for the next 30-something years. Good to have. So it's also good for emergency landings. If, say, one of the engines were to fail, you still have that where you can glide to an airport if you had to. So the controversy around this is everybody forgot Midnight version 1 and version 2, and they think, oh, Archer can only do a CTOL flight, which is just completely not true. It's 100% made up. Anybody that tells you that is either trying to sell you something, or they're just lying to boost their own ego, which is more likely. But yeah, Archer can do both. Get you a man that can do both. Nobody else can do that. Midnight version 4 is where we're at right now, testing wise. That's N704AX, and they've been doing a bunch of hover tests. They've been doing, they started off just doing a little, testing the hover, then they started actually gliding with the hover. Now we're seeing them do higher hover tests, just straight vertical, straight back down, from different locations at the Salinas airport. I would expect them to, and they may do this with N703AX, but I am expecting them at some point this year to fly from Salinas to Hawthorne Airport. That is my personal, what I would like to see from Archer Aviation this year. But I don't care what aircraft they do it with. I mean, I really just don't care. The technology's already been proven. I just would love to see it happen. I'm hoping to see that during the EIPP this summer. I would also like to see N704AX go to Florida and start showing the technology in other states, maybe Texas. That's really what I want to hear from this earnings call. Where is N704AX going to be flying? Because where is N703AX going to be flying? Because I want N704AX to stay in Salinas, stay testing, get as much data as you can, and that brings me up to my next point. Do not rush Archer, guys. And I know I sound like a little baby when I say that, but this is aviation. We're not building birdhouses here, okay? If we were building a birdhouse, this thing would be built and done in a few minutes, ideally. We need to get as much data as we can on this thing because I personally expect to be flying in this thing, and I personally want it to be safe, okay? So let's let Archer take their time. Let's let them cook. I know it's safe. I know it's going to be even safer when they add autonomy, but the extra, hey, we tested this thing for 5 months is not a deal breaker for me at all for Archer Aviation. With that being said, of course, I do expect to hear some sort of timeline, whether that's going to be when they're going to be flying N704AX or whether that's going to be when they're going to be flying EIPP, where they're going to be flying EIPP. I would like some sort of timeline for that. When are we expecting air taxi operations to begin in the UAE? That's a big one. Just some type of map. That's all I'm asking for. I do not expect we hear anything about a transition flight that has already happened for N704AX. Now, I'm old enough to remember last year's Q3 earnings call, where they literally said, hey guys, we're about to start testing N703AX. And I will expect some kind of thing like that. Hey, we're about to start testing eVTOL actual transitions in the near future. That's all they gotta say. I mean, that's all they gotta say. That combined with a high cash balance and as expected or better earnings, that's all they gotta do. And they may have some bombshell announcement. We're not gonna know till tomorrow. But guys, let me know what you're expecting in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and when you do, you are officially a member of the GOAT Gang. So I should be telling you, welcome to the GOAT Gang.
Now it's lift off, count it down, 3, 2,